Having the elementary math coaches to help talk about this whole concept of the area model as we use it with multiplication, so that we can see where we're building on what they started to learn in elementary school. So I've got Jan and Regina with me, and Jan's going to tell us and model us how they teach multiplication once basic facts are taught.
Right. And basic facts are based on an area model because kids learn that the area of a rectangle representing a fact like 6 times 7, 6 rows of 7. So the area of that rectangle is 42. It's a faster way of counting to learn that 6 times 7 is 42.
And that's introduced third grade?
Third grade.
Okay.
Yes, and they learn arrays, and we, in fourth grade, connect that to an area model.
Okay.
So if we're going to move on to a bigger problem, say 2-digit by 2-digit, which one are we going to do, Regina?
2-digit by 1.
By 1 digit.
Yeah, 2-digit by 1 digit.
Which one are we going to do? 23 times 4.
Right, and it's always based on a problem situation. We're just making
Right. We're just looking at the model at the moment, but
we're just looking at the model.
So I'd have 24 sets of 23 something in a real life situation.
Right.
Okay.
To have to figure out what's that product.
Okay.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So it can represent something meaningful to the kids, but we want to represent this particular problem as an extension of an array. It's just bigger. So we're going to build something that's actually 23 by 4.
Okay.
So, Regina, help me out with some.
And those factors are the dimensions of that array, or of that rectangle that comes out.
So we like to ask a lot of questions during this lesson, making sure the kids understand and remember that factors apply to whatever multiplication problem that you're working on.
Okay.
They're still factors. So
I think
23.
Oh, 23.
And
4?
we need, yes, a width of 4.
4 rows.
Emphasizing that these are factors. Making sure the kids are remembering when they're recording anything that they're labeling.
So when do they start using the word factor? Fourth grade?
Third grade.
Third grade. So they've been using the word factor.
Yes.
Product.
And they understand that when you factor, you're pulling that, you're decomposing that number, pulling it apart.
Yes, they do.
Okay.
Correct.
And that's the point of building the bigger array, the rectangular area model, because when we find 4 rows with 23 in a row, we're finding the area of a rectangle.
Absolutely.
It's just a bigger rectangle that can be decomposed into manageable parts.
Okay.
So let's build it.
Let's build it.
All right.
Okay.
So we need 1 row of 23.
Yes, we do. And I'll arrange them and
And
we'll
do the
hand them over.
3s. Here's
And
another
we need
row.
2 more 10s.
20.
And kids work
Right.
together in a group to build these. It doesn't take them very long.
Another.
We like to use grid paper actually when we first do this.
And we usually use two colors.
Just
So they
because
can
the
really see the
rectangles
10s and 1s
are
better.
apparent.
We don't have them with us today.
So we'll break it apart.
And there's
so you
one
can see
more
it.
row, because we need 4 rows of that to fill in our rectangle. So all they're doing is filling in their rectangle.
Which is similar
And they're
to,
using the largest possible way to fill it in.
Yes,
Right.
we asked them if it would be efficient to use all ones. They know it wouldn't.
Okay.
Right.
Right.
But some might start.
They might
Trying
start by
that. They
doing
may
that.
start there.
As in when we ask them, now how are we going to figure out what our area is? What our total amount would be, in other words, our product. What would be the most efficient way to count it? And we try to get as many ideas as possible, even counting by ones, which they quickly decide not to do.
Right. And I can see that becoming even more of an issue when you start going to that 2-digit, because you now have that 100 square possibility.
It's taking up a lot more space.
Right.
Right. Okay.
So a lot of kids see this differently. Some see it as 2 rectangles that are both 4 by 10.
Okay.
Some immediately see this as 4 by 20. And then everyone sees this, usually, by 4th grade as a 3 by 12, because they're very familiar with that setup.
Right.
And we label it sometimes. We might put 4 by 20
Right.
on
So
the
this is
on a card.
20 by 4. And then we ask them how much that is.
Okay.
80. And then this one would be
Add a smaller piece
3
of
by
paper,
4.
but they may.
And they know that that is 12.
And then my total, I'm combining them both together because I have both of the rectangles, and I get my 92.
And then through some discussion and questioning, it's pretty apparent to them that they don't want to build this when they're taking a CBA.
Right.
It's not going to be very time efficient. So they quickly learn that really, if I know my factors, I could have just drawn my model to begin with, which is going to be rather crooked. Sorry.
Okay, you should see.
And then they also learn that I can just say that it's rectangular and straight, and that
Okay.
makes it so.
And the factors are labeled as the dimensions.
Right. And so even though they know this is a 23 by 4,
Mm-hmm.
they can write that if they want to. They also know that when we built it with the blocks, we broke it down into 20
Mm-hmm.
We split our 10s and 1s.
and not 4, 3.
Yeah.
23
Mm-hmm.
times 4. They can very quickly multiply this in their head because they know this is 2 10s times 4 is 8 10s. And they
Okay.
know 3 times 4 is 12, because if they don't, they get in trouble.
Okay.
And then they add this together, and we have a product of 92, and make them label whatever it is within the problem.
And as you build it to the 2-digit by 2-digit, then
It becomes
it
a bigger
becomes
There's
grid.
another row.
and there's another row.
Mhm.
So very similar to how we did ours with our x's and our constant,
Mhm.
we have that extra row.
Right.
Because we're multiplying two separate different
And
things
just-
and creating
And these
the
are
same.
your factors.
These are my factors.
Mhm.
And just like when you get into algebra and you have to be very careful to name your variables
Mhm.
correctly, we also like for them, instead of always thinking of this as 20 times 4, try to think of it as 2 10s.
Okay.
2 10s times 4 is 8 10s. That way you're not memorizing a mindless rule that says, oh, do I add 1 0? Do I add 2 zeros? If
So
it ended
using
in
that
0 already, did I
using
put too
the
many?
vocabulary itself
Yes.
of the value of the number,
Yes,
Right.
really helping
What's
them
the
to
value of
understand
it?
that place value.
and like terms, which
And
they're
like
gonna-
terms,
That's
which
what's
we need
happening
here.
here.
which they're going to need.
Well, I appreciate you guys coming in and spending some time with us and to helping us to understand how we're really building and supporting concepts that they've already learned in elementary school that they're bringing with us, and so we're not starting from scratch and this is being formed. Because this, even though for some of us this may be new for how we approach factoring, for our kids it's built on what they already understand.